Welcome back to the People's Cabinet. Okay, I have very exciting breaking news. The Democratic Party is showing some life and some fight, and it's through Governor of California, Gavin Newsom.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and his team have figured out a very entertaining way to deal with Donald Trump at his own rhetorical level.
So let's take a step back. The polls show that the Democratic Party's reputation is not in a good place. A CNN poll put it at 28%. Another poll said that most Democrats say their party's elected officials are not pushing hard enough against the policies of Donald Trump. 74% say their elected officials are doing only a fair or poor job at pushing hard against Trump's policies when they disagree. We're seeing, Democrats say that they've sent strongly worded letters. There's a lot of underwhelming things happening in the Democratic Party. So this is why what Governor Newsom is a breath of fresh air. I'm going to talk about what Governor Newsom is doing, both on the subtle side and on the blatant side, how it's getting under MAGA's skin, and why he is doing all of this. So let's set the stage. We are about to have a vote in Texas that will cause that redistricting plan to happen, which will result in Democrats losing 5 seats. If Democrats do not do anything in return, we will lose the midterms. What does that mean? It means that all of the things that you've seen President Trump do over the past few months will be unchecked for at least his entire term and maybe more. So these stakes could not be higher. And so we need to fight fire with fire, and we can't unilaterally disarm. That's where Governor Newsom comes in. Governor Newsom is trying to outweigh the 5 seats that we are going to lose in Texas with seats in California. He's also made it very clear that this was not something that he instigated nor that he wants to do, but that we have to, as I mentioned, fight fire with fire. So there's some subtle things that he did in his press conference that he called that I think are important to point out, as well as the aggressive tactics that he's used both during and since to bring attention to how severe all of this is. First of all, Governor Newsom tweets out a press conference that he's going to basically lay out his strategy for the maps and redistricting. And he does it in a humorous way. In an all caps tweet, he talks about a huge historic event. And he says, Gavin Christopher Newsom and strong Democrats will destroy Greg Abbott's totally rigged maps. Tremendous work is being done. Donald Trump, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for your attention to this matter. America will be liberated, Liberation Day. So a couple things. This all caps style rambling tweet obviously is a mockery of Donald Trump. And it is getting under everyone's skin, which we will get to on the MAGA side, because he is doing this. But every time he baits MAGA, it lays bare how absurd it is that we just let the behavior of President Trump happen every day with all of the things that he is doing with social media and his communication style. He also talks about Liberation Day, obviously a reference to Trump's tariff Liberation Day, but taking that phrase and turning it on its head. There's also some more subtle things that he did. The press conference itself was quite serious. And if you look at the staging of the press conference, it explains a lot about how he is thinking about this and how he is emphasizing what is important and to keep in mind as Democrats. So I used to work very closely in City Hall and the White House with the advanced staff. The advanced staff are the people who set up the staging for events. And I just want to point out some subtleties here about the staging of this event that really drive home Governor Newsom's message. So you see a red sign in front of him. That is intentional. That is signifying Republican MAGA influence. The title of the act is Election Rigging Response Act. First of all, rigging, making it very clear that he believes that this is a rigging of democracy and that what they are doing is responding to that by calling it the Election Rigging Response Act. You have a diverse group of people, union leaders, men, women behind the governor holding blue signs indicating democratic values, defend democracy, right? Signifying that the Democrats are having no choice but to do this to defend democracy. Also having the American flag there to evoke patriotism, and he obviously looks presidential standing behind the staging. So the staging there was very important. I won't play all of the press conference. I'm sure you've seen clips of it, but essentially what he argues here is that America needs to wake up, that there is a president who is attacking our democracy, and we need to respond. We cannot unilaterally disarm. One other thing that he points out that I think is important is that this act highlights a independent commission that he says will revert back to the commission in terms of the redistricting in 2030. Again, that means that this is a temporary measure to counteract what is happening in Texas, but that it will revert back to an independent commission in 2030. There was a national bill to create independent, non-political commissions to do redistricting nationwide that was killed by Republicans, not a single Republican vote. He is making an allusion to that again, that he is not the instigator and that this is in response to what we are seeing from the right and MAGA and Donald Trump. Now, here's the really funny thing that he is also doing, but in the humor, also highlighting the absurdity of what we are seeing in our president. I mentioned the all caps tweets, but he goes on, he's leaned into this pretty far, and it's had very interesting effects, especially on the right. So Governor Newsom tweets out a meme of Kid Rock dressed as Uncle Sam saying, Kid Rock wants you to support Gavin Newsom. The Governor Newsom press office, and I should clarify, this is the Governor Newsom press office account, not Governor Newsom's personal account, but again, coming from the governor's apparatus, wants you to support Gavin Newsom. This is a reference to when there was an AI-generated picture of Taylor Swift dressed as Uncle Sam, and the text, Taylor wants you to vote for Donald Trump, to which Donald Trump tweeted, I accept. So again, Kid Rock, a big supporter of Donald Trump, this was meant to troll that reference. It's also worth noting that after this happened, soon after, Taylor Swift endorsed Harris, expressed her dismay about AI images being used about her. So Donald Trump responded to Taylor Swift's endorsement by saying, I hate Taylor Swift. And then later tweeted, has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, she's no longer hot? So obviously this was all reference to the absurdity of Donald Trump trying to attack a pop star for not endorsing him. The only thing that would have amplified this further is if Kid Rock somehow missed the joke and took the bait, which is exactly what he did. He responds, the only support Gavin Newsom will ever get out of me is from D's nuts. Okay. So he obviously, by doing that, just keeps the narrative going and keeps it all in the news. So of course, Gavin Newsom responds, I hate Kid Rock. Has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Kid Rock, he's no longer hot? Obviously, a direct reference to what Donald Trump did about Taylor Swift. This is all bait. This is all trolling. It is A+ trolling that somehow MAGA missed and somehow Kid Rock missed, and his response only heightened the story. This goes on further. There was a tweet of an AI-generated image of Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock, and Tucker Carlson praying. A conservative tweeter responded, very disrespectful and blasphemy. To which Governor Newsom's press office responds, oops, our bad, sorry, meant to post this, with a picture of Donald Trump as the Pope, which Donald Trump tweeted out a couple of months ago. Absolutely absurd that he did that. Somehow got a free pass from most people. Completely disrespectful. But again, obviously the press office of Governor Newsom knew that this was bait, and they took it hook, line, and sinker. So what has the response been from the right? And have they been thoughtful about looking at what Trump has done and not taking the bait of Newsom? The answer is absolutely not. So let's start with Russia Today. Obviously, Russia and the president seem to have some kind of relationship. They tweeted a tweet with both the Taylor Swift reference as well as Kid Rock, saying, okay, this is getting creepy. California Governor Gavin Newsom is copy-pasting Trump post. He just switched Taylor Swift for Kid Rock, 1 to 10 on the cringe meter. So kind of funny that Russia is trying to get Trump's back on this. But it's just a general, again, continuing the story, making this more of a thing, playing right into Governor Newsom's hands. So what else are more other outlets doing in response to this? Let me play this clip from Fox News.
Sitting governor, those are Congress people. And it feels like we're watching a summer camp skit. We're watching slam poetry. We're watching these attention seekers that are just so wrapped up in clickbait, and they are supposed to be governing.
They are so wrapped up in clickbait, and they are supposed to be governing. The irony literally writes itself. The fact that these commentators don't even understand the hypocrisy of a statement like that is something else on its face, but also just emblematic of the sensitivity and the tone deafness that so many of these people have when it comes to criticizing anything about President Trump and other people using a playbook against him. Another Fox News host and commentator, Dana Perino, said this.
The other thing is, or at the debate, the other thing for me is that for the last week, Gavin Newsom, and why am I giving him advice? You have to stop it with the Twitter thing. I don't know where his wife is. If I were his wife, I would say, "What? You are making a fool of yourself. Stop it. Do not let your staff tweet. And if you're doing it yourself, put the phone away and start over. And if he really, he's got a big job as governor of California, but if he wants an even bigger job, he has to be a little bit more serious."
Stop it with the Twitter thing. You need to be more serious. Essentially telling him to put the phone away. It is mind-boggling, as I said before, that these people don't think through the words that are coming out of their mouth and understand how absurd it is for them to be saying this when Donald Trump every single day is tweeting something more and more absurd. Before anyone throws shade at Governor Newsom for some of these tweets and the content of them, this is a president who has tweeted egregious things, okay? This is somebody who called women Miss Piggy. This is somebody who accused a journalist of bleeding from a facelift with absolutely no basis. He made a reference to Hillary Clinton not satisfying her husband. Egregious stuff. So I'm sorry if somebody's offended by a little meme, but all Governor Newsom is doing is highlighting how absurd it is that what we take for granted and take as okay every day in terms of the media response to President Trump's tweeting is so absurd on its face that these rambling all caps tweets are somehow acceptable from the leader of the free world that is supposed to set an example for our nation. That is what Governor Newsom is doing ultimately, is highlighting this absurdity. And the Republican response to it is only proving his point. So what is the backdrop of all of this? If we don't fight fire with fire, we will lose the midterms. We will have unchecked power for Donald Trump. And even worse, if Democrats don't get their act together, we will continue to cede ground to Republicans. We are losing. Democrats are losing, and we need to do better. The public is telling us that we need to do better. From the New York Times, 5 takeaways from the Times analysis of Democratic decline in voter registration. Spoiler alert, it's pretty bad. Democrats are losing ground with new voters. In 2018, Democrats accounted for 63% of voters who newly registered as either Democratic or Republican. By 2024, the party's share had shrunk to less than 48%. Battleground states are swinging to the right. The gender gap is a growing problem for Democrats. Many younger voters are opting for the GOP. It isn't getting any better for Democrats yet. I think I speak for many Democrats out there, and I understand there's some people, this is not their cup of tea, I get it, that are dying to see somebody who is bringing the fight to Donald Trump, and more importantly, winning the fight. I said the following on Stephanie Ruhle last week. Objectively speaking, America thinks Democrats are lame and we suck. Especially at messaging. 28%, right? They want to see the fight. $1.6 billion in Ohio to the Ohio-Kentucky connector, the Brent Spence Bridge. No one talks about that. Thousands of jobs, whereas Trump's building a ballroom. We guarantee that if your flight is delayed or canceled, you get a refund. Trump enacted a tax policy that allowed you to write off your private jet. I don't like saying people think Democrats are lame and we suck, but the statistics show that that is true. So we have two choices. We can either deny that, say that the polls are wrong, and continue to lose registrations to Republicans, especially in the battleground states, or we can boldly talk about how we are the party of working class people. We can say, Donald Trump is cutting your Medicaid. We will cut your prescription drug costs 80%. He's gutting union rights at the VA. 400,000 people are being stripped of their union rights. We will empower unions with the PRO Act to make it easier for you to join a union. And we will fine the company if they get in your way. He's sending masked men to areas to terrorize families. We will guarantee a pathway to citizenship for children who came here through no fault of their own. That is what the Democrats need to be talking about every day. And that will resonate with the public. So Governor Newsom taking that fight to Donald Trump, turning Donald Trump's playbook against him, and seeing how quickly MAGA is falling for that playbook shows that we need to keep this fight up, not just from our elected officials, but for every single one of us, holding this administration accountable and fighting for the country we believe in. Let's stay on this. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the People's Cabinet. If you did, please like, subscribe, ring that bell, and put in the comments below who else you'd like to see sworn in. And stay tuned for new episodes every Tuesday. Let's go.